of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga, and Deputy Minister Enver Surty. And just before the break, we crossed to Eastern Cape, Port Elizabeth, and we got a sense of what's happening there. It was one of the 4 provinces where the results went up, despite nationally results generally going down by 2.4%. And so I'm just going to get a quick comment from our guests. What do we read into this? And, KZN down 7.7%. That can't just be caps, is it?
No, it's huge, huge, huge. And we're still going to have to investigate. But amongst others, you can even see with group copying that there was a level of desperation, which means curriculum coverage was not properly done. And that's why there was this desperation that led to group copying. So Sarah is teaching, and we have to understand why schools had not completed their curriculum. So it's one factor that is quite clear would have happened in KZN. There were lots of disturbances, both from community but also within the system. There were lots of community protests which stopped schools. There was just lots of instability in KZN. Whilst there were others also in different parts of the provinces, like in Northern Cape, in Mpumalanga, and even some in Gauteng, but we still have to go and understand much more deeper what is it that led to KZN not to complete the curriculum. That's why I say group copying is just one evidence that shows that there was something wrong about learning and teaching that happened in that province.
So, Deputy Minister, how do we get uniformity across the country? Because we're going to have a situation where, and it's been happening, where people move from the Eastern Cape to the Western Cape, and maybe other provinces coming to Gauteng because they're thinking, do you know what, if I want to get my kid through school, I must get them in the right province, in the right schools.
Well, thank you very much for raising that. Migration firstly is a reality, not only in South Africa, it's a global reality. And you have the migration from rural to the urban areas, you have it from within provinces and beyond provinces. So Gauteng, the MEC would tell you, is the largest recipient of people coming from other provinces to Gauteng for economic need and also at the same time for better opportunity, whether it's education or otherwise. Similarly, Western Cape also receives a great number of people from other provinces. So there is this movement or this trend towards going to urban areas. So the urbanization is a reality that we have to deal with. And if you look at that, it provides you with a good backdrop. And what Mohsin Williams was saying to us, we tend to forget about the socioeconomic conditions that affect learners. So if you go to the Eastern Cape, for example, let's not look at East London or Port Elizabeth. Let's look at Libode, and Libode, and if you go to Limpopo, the Bushbuckridge areas, these deep rural areas out there where children, it's not only hard to teach there, but it's hard to reach there. The challenges that communities have in retaining skilled and competent educators, even though the amenities have been improved. So we deliver almost a brand new state-of-the-art school a week in the Eastern Cape. But the question is, how do we retain these competent, committed, dedicated educators in these deep rural areas? And that becomes a challenge. It's something we have to address, and indeed we are doing so in terms of providing better rewards and incentives to educators and developing skills within the community. But the results show one positive trend, is that it is no longer the arena of quintile 4 and 5 schools to say we celebrate distinctions. You have more distinctions coming from quintiles 1, 2, and 3 than you would have from, as you would have had from 4 and 5 in the past. So the issues of equity are contributing positively and meaningfully. We haven't bridged the gap, but we've narrowed the gap between the deep rural and the urban, between the poor community schools and the more affluent. And that is where our work is, and that is where the enormous challenge that we face. Somebody just commented the other day about the IEB results. It's less than 10,000 compared to 688,000 registered candidates in the public schools. So, it's really comparing apples with apples, as has been suggested, rather than comparing apples with oranges. But the challenges are enormous. They loom large, and we have to work extremely hard to ensure that we achieve uniformity and parity.
All right, we're going to go to Ayanda just now, but Minister, just before we go to her, a lot of people have been hearing this quintile word over time, and they're too shy to ask what it means. And I guess at the end of the day, when are we going to make sure that all the schools across South Africa are quintile 5?
No. It's classification according to economic profiles of communities. So we will not classify a school in Houghton the same we will classify a school in Tsofimbawa. So it's difficult to reach. So it's classification according to economic profiles, not of schools, but of communities.
Okay.
Because then lots of challenges in between which you have to compensate for. So your quintile 5 will be your most affluent schools in affluent areas with parents who are much more able to support the system. They pay fees, they buy their kids' books, but they are able to also run their own schools through the governing bodies. So they have all the powers to run their schools. That's quintile 5. And it's your most affluent schools. Then your quintile 1, it will be your poorest, your deep rural, township, informal settlements, where we know we need to provide, and normally those will be your no-fee schools that don't pay fees. We provide school nutrition. We provide, so we will not, it's conscious and deliberated. For poorer communities, we need to provide more support as a poor package. So those are the schools that come from poor communities and then are provided more support to really compensate for the lack of SSS support facilities and resources in those communities. So we have no intentions of having, so I mean almost 9 million of our kids are in these poor schools. It's mainly no-fee schools where we provide free books, nutrition.
So the extra support really is just to make sure that the kids have an equal chance when they get through.
Exactly.
All right,
exactly.
okay. Let's go to Ayanda.
We pass them in this other quintile 5, we don't pass the learners, so it's really more of a poor package.
All right, okay. Ayanda, you're on the floor. Who are you talking to?
Well, Peter, thank you so much. I think it's quite fitting that this briefing today is taking place in Gauteng because we need to give them the due bragging rights that they deserve. The top performing province in South Africa in terms of the matric results. Not only that, but of the top 5 performing districts, 4 of them are in Gauteng. The 3 stand alone. The 4th was shared with the Western Cape, so I think they're smiling this morning because of their healthy competition with the Western Cape. They always have this thing where they want to see who's going to be tops. Gauteng province are taking top position, and also the highest bachelor's passes, I believe it is. So a very happy man this morning is the Gauteng Education MEC, Mr. Panyaza Lesotho. I'm going to ask you to stand. Congratulations to you. To what can you attribute the success?
Well, it's good guidance. I'm a product of the minister, but anyway, so just kidding. Ever since I was working with the deputy minister, and they've been guiding me, babies walk. When I started with the MEC, they gave me all the support, but the premier as well in the province, as well as the team in the executive, and learners and teachers and teacher unions.
Along with that support, I saw Minister Angie Motshekga being Mistress Angie Maubane, because she did chastise you somewhat for the slight drop that you did receive. Although you were the highest performing in the province, she did say that there was a slight decrease in Gauteng. How do you plan on amending that to make sure the class of 2015 are higher?
Well, a lot of things that we need to do. Most importantly, ensures that there is equal standard across the entire province. We want to introduce what we call common examinations at grade 3, 6, 9 to ensure that everyone can at the same power, at the same level. But also, I'm a junkie for ICT in education. I really believe that gone are the days of using 20th century methods to teach our learners in the 21st century. So we just ensure that every child, especially those in poor areas, it must be one tablet, one learner, one teacher, one laptop, and one classroom, one interactive board. It must happen in our lifetime.
Thank you very much for that, and congratulations to you once again. I don't know if you slept at all yesterday, or you were jiving, celebrating. No comment. All right, no comment. There you have it. Peter, it's back to you.
All right, Ayanda, thank you very much indeed. We're going to take another quick break, but don't forget hashtag TNA Biz Brief at Morning Live SABC is where you can take part in this conversation. After the break, we're going to try quickly go to Bloemfontein, and then we'll start getting your questions at home and also the audience here, just to get a sense of what you're thinking and what our audience are thinking. Stay with us.
cancer, I realized life is short. I want to live my dream.
They can bend my face, but not my voice.
I'm definitely not a cross-dresser. South Africa, I'm just a gay man.
Join Puleng Molebatsi on Bupilong every Saturday at 17:30 CAT.
Guinea is reopening an Ebola clinic in its remote southeast in an effort to prevent sick nationals seeking better treatment elsewhere.
The new labor law also seeks to clamp down on violent strikes by holding a trade union liable for violence committed by its members during a strike.
The new canal is set to boost annual revenues to about $13 billion by 2023. It's part of a larger project to expand port and shipping facilities around the canal.
This is Vigigas's fourth victory on the PGA Tour.
That's all the weather that I have for you for now. Stay tuned.
For all your business news, catch news at 1 every day. Be informed.
Welcome back, and if you've just joined us, we're in Sandton today, and this is where we're talking about the matric results of 2014. 75.8% was the final result, and a slight drop, but we must not forget that 3/4 of our kids got through the system. They've got the matric certificates, and it's something that we really should be celebrating, particularly given some of the challenges that some of the kids have been having to overcome during the past year. So the class of 2014, very special indeed. And you can ask your questions, hashtag TNA BizBrief at Morning Live SABC, and we'll put them through to Minister and Deputy run after this. But earlier on we went to Eastern Cape. Let's go to Bloemfontein now, the Free State. This was a former number one. They're not number one anymore. Let's find out from Ntagwana Ngatane, who's in Bloemfontein, speaking to the MEC. What is the state of play in Bloemfontein in the Free State?
Yes, good morning, Peter, from the Free State, the heart of Bloemfontein. Here we are with MEC Tate Mahwe. Yes, indeed, the Free State was at 87% last year. We're down to 82. We were at number one. We are down to number 3, but we are still celebrating here in the Free State. And I've got the MEC here with me. Over 26,000 students wrote their exams here in the Free State in more than 300 centers around the Free State. MEC, what is our success this year?
Well, I think you are right. We have to celebrate. We have done very well. One of the first things that we must actually say is that I'm so proud that the teachers and the children here in the province produced a credible examination. We don't have the challenges of mass copying. So we are happy that the results that you see is what we worked hard for. The second thing that is important for me is that for the past 3 years, starting in 2012, we have been at the 80% and above. 2012, 2013 and 2014, we are above 80%. And despite the fact that the curriculum has changed, it's slightly more difficult now, despite the fact of the age cohort and the challenges that we have had, we have done very, 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 very well. But I've also seen that when you come to distinctions in mathematics and science, we have also improved. So for me, once we are making progress in mathematics and science, I think the country will benefit. So I'm excited about that. The last thing I want to talk about is the issue of the 100%. You know, when I came here in 2009, there were no township schools that were achieving 100%. I'm so proud that this year we've got again about 7 schools that have achieved 100%. But if you take a school like Albert Moroka in Tabanchu, they're actually achieving 100% for the second time in succession. If you take a school like Taiwe in Tennessee, they're also achieving the 100% for the second time. There are other schools like Mohala Ditwe that was in the 100%, skipped 1 year, they're back in the 100%. So I think the culture of working hard in the Free State, especially in education, is now actually taking shape. Despite all the challenges, we're going to make it.
Now, today here, you will be honoring the 100 top students. You'll be honoring also the top schools. Tell us about that.
We'll be honoring the kids who have done very, very well. We've got one of them who has actually achieved 100% in physical science. But what is very encouraging is that we've got a lot of students from township schools with a 99% in physical science, 99% in mathematics. And that actually bodes very well for the country. Because as a country, we now know that we will have enough engineers, we'll have enough doctors, and we'll have enough technical people, because you need that for a developing country. The most important thing is that, as the COO of SABC was saying yesterday, that we need to give them confidence and we need to give them a chance. I think our education system is continuously improving, and here in the Free State, we are doing very, 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 very well. Yes, there are challenges. There are challenges of resources from time to time, but despite all those things, we are doing well. But I also want to use this opportunity to thank the parents who are staying with the children, who are camping them, who are cooking for them, who are providing security. And more importantly, our teachers who were working until midnight. I went to one school at 8 o'clock in the evening, and the teachers were still teaching mathematics. And these are the South African heroes that are never seen by the media. But I think we must use this opportunity to say thank you to our teachers, thank you to the class of 2014. You are indeed the best. You have, as the minister have said yesterday, we tried to make it more complicated. You still came up with a distinction, because 82% is a distinction in the province of the Free State.
Now, MEC, you've done #1 before. Can we look at you doing it again, and how?
No, definitely will come. We'll come back. There has been one or two problems. I think our challenge of the learners who have progressed, I don't think we did not plan it well. So we have said again, we have looked at the strategy, because if you take out the learners who have been progressed, the performance of the province of the Free State will be 88%. But if you include them, because only 49% of them passed, it actually dropped to 82. So, and we had a big number. We had about 14% of those kids. Therefore, it was going to impact on us. But we're not complaining. This is not an excuse. It just says we must go and plan better. How do we support these kids? And I'm telling you, 2015, watch the Free State is going to reclaim their position.
2015, the Free State will reclaim their position. There you have it from Bloemfontein. Back to you, Peter. Back to you, Peter.
Takona, thank you very much indeed. And we're going to have to say goodbye to our viewers on SABC2. We're carrying this conversation on channel 404. So that's where you can carry on watching as we continue to explore. But for those of you who've been watching on SABC2, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Have a great rest of the day. And for all of those matric students, congratulations and well done for being a sterling class of 2014. Goodbye to all of you. Right, and for those of you that are still with us, Minister, so we've heard the story of Eastern Cape, we've heard the story of Bloemfontein, the Free State. Let's get into the nitty-gritty now, and I'm going to ask the people on the floor and those that have sent tweets to start asking questions, and I'm going to take the first three, one after the other, and then if you could just address them. Teresa, is it Moila, table number 8, if you could be very brief with your question, and I will get a quick answer for you. Teresa?
Congratulations to the Minister and to the class of 2014. Since the grade 9 ANA results can be used as an indication of what to expect from the class of 2017, what is the department doing to ensure that we get better results in 2017? My next question has to revolve around teachers, who I believe are at the core of the education system. What is the Department of Education doing to better galvanize teachers in terms of the power that they have in the classroom, so that we can use them to actually improve on the results?
All right, great. And if we can take the microphone to table number 14, and there we'll find Mbali Dlamini. Mbali, table number 14. I think your question might be slightly similar.
Yes, good morning. Basically, Minister, I just wanted to find out what plans do you guys have in place to further assist and aid educators, into the transition of CAPS? And secondly, I also wanted to know, are there any wheels that will be set in motion to assist learners in Quintile 1 schools? Thank you.
Okay, and in table 11, we'll find Malusi Kutumela, table number 11.
Thank you, Peter. Honorable Minister and MD, a decline was expected, but we welcome the results. So a problem with teachers is we are having moderators, we are having examiners. Were they not aware when they were setting a business studies paper and a mathematical literature question papers for making them so difficult and badly set? Also looking at the timing of the economics, are we not having moderators as well as examiners who must look deeper into the timing of different papers? And I want to challenge Gauteng and say, no province, for example Limpopo, will come and beat Gauteng if Gauteng got subject advisors for each and every learning area. When you go to Limpopo or you go to Eastern Cape, there is only one subject advisor for 4 or even 5 learning areas. So we need to look into that one of making things equal. Otherwise, we'll continue lamenting, saying other provinces are performing badly and Gauteng is performing better than any other one when they've got better resources.
All right, before you sit down, I know that you're the president of the Professional Educators Union. I just want to get a quick sense from you what your role as educators and what you think in terms of help and support that you should be getting, because I think that was one question that was raised. But let's hear from your view what you should be getting, what kind of help should you be getting, and how do you get some of your educators to behave better as well?
Like I've said, Peter, if we can get that proper support from all different provinces, if you've got subject advisors who are supporting teachers throughout the country, not resourcing one province. I know we might say that the demographic of Gauteng is as compared to Northern Cape or as compared to Limpopo. But workshops were held on CAPS. We welcome the support that was given by National Head Office. But still we expect the same support from different provinces where human resource must we need to make it a point that human resource also is going to be given to all the provinces, not only one province, not only 2 provinces, but let us also look into some other provinces like Eastern Cape, like KZN, Limpopo, and some others I can name. Thank you very much.
All right, okay, great. So a number of questions, and perhaps both of you can start addressing them. Anna, results.
You know what is unfortunate with the ANA results when we investigated what the problems were? It's that, because she's linking ANA results to matric results, what we picked up is that schools use grade 7, 8, and 9 as their resting grades, and then pump up on 10, 11, and 12. And that's why we've been getting good results in 10, 11, and 12. So what we are saying is that we should support every class and every grade has to be taken seriously. So, and that's why we've just been having different results. Schools that produce 100% in your matric results give us distinctions. Some of them gave us 10% in your ANA results, and simply because those are their resting grades. So they are sometimes unlinked, and what we are now saying is that every grade has to be taken seriously, but unfortunately or fortunately from the matric results, they are unlinked. So those kids who performed badly in grade 9, we might get distinctions from them in grade 12. Those schools are going to begin to send their best teachers, allocate more time, and really pump more when it gets to the FET phase. And that's what we want to deal with.
So support has been coming up quite a bit, helping the educators. And also now we're getting a sense that perhaps the better performing provinces, were they better supported, or is that a misinterpretation?
No, nationally we have the same national policy. That's what we do. So every province operates under the same national policy, same framework, budgets according to the number of learners or according to their needs. It's the implementation models of provinces that needs to be looked at. So no province gets more support. It's the provinces themselves who design implementation plans. So Gauteng, Western Cape, Northwest and Free State are not given any special assistance. It's themselves in terms of how they use their resources to design plans that enable them to perform better. And what we also picked up in terms of performance, that most, which is quite encouraging, success is inside the school. Schools that improve, it's schools that have good school improvement plans. They're not external so much according to subject advisors. It's not easy to have improvement from externally from your subject advisors. Schools themselves, and that's why we're saying to parents, teachers and learners, schools are just a centerpiece. And that's where improvement is going to come. It's not going to come from subject advisors. They are there to assist. But the main thing is inside the school and getting schools to function. And that's what our focus is, to get our schools to function.
You've raised an interesting point, and every year I ask you this question because it is one thing I've been trying to understand. National policy is set and it's uniform. Implementation starts to vary because of the provinces. So if you've got a province that's struggling for whatever reason, the kids are going to suffer, even though the national policy is great. How do we make sure that a national issue filters down properly and it gets implemented uniformly across all the provinces?
I mean, that's our job description, that we use different mechanisms to make sure that we have national plan. And what I also have to say, what is gratifying also, is that some provinces come with such innovative changes that influence other provinces. So we meet, for instance, almost every second month as CEM with heads of departments and share experiences across the sector. Because we do find that other provinces have such creative ways of dealing with problems that even at a national level they had not thought about it. And then we have these shared experiences. We meet every quarter with district directors, 81 of them, to make sure that, again, we share experiences. We ensure that we level the playing field to support each other. But as national department, it is our work to visit provinces to offer support, but I still believe the solution is always within.
Is sometimes a greater intervention required?
The greatest intervention is the greatest interventions, as I said, in the school, it's within the school, the greatest interventions in the province. We can come as visitors or tourists. We cannot stay on a daily basis to do the work for provinces. Provinces have to do their work. They have to pull their... We can assist them in terms of support, but we can't run the province for them. They're there to run the provinces. They have the infrastructure. I mean, when I was MEC, I had more staff than I have at national. So provinces have more capacity to help themselves because they're resourced adequately to be able to do things on their own. So we lay standards, we do frameworks, we agree with them, we monitor them, but they have to do their work themselves.
All right, let's debunk some of the myths that are coming through, Deputy Minister. There's a lot of tweets that are coming through and people are not convinced that the quality has improved. They're not convinced that we are doing better. Why are people thinking this, and what proof do we have that actually we're producing better matriculants?
Well, firstly, as it's what the Minister had indicated, that external sources and reliable sources such as Umalusi are saying that they're satisfied with the cognitive demand. Secondly, we have a panel of experts that look at each of the questions. So you have the South African Association of Mathematics that look at the mathematics paper and check on the cognitive demand of each question. Then we have external panels, people from abroad, that look at our examination papers and look at the cognitive demand. So there is international benchmarking that is taking place. If that was indeed the reality, then we would have none of our learners graduating from universities. We still produce excellent professionals and innovative thinkers. So I think, yes, we've always got to improve. And what the administration has said, and this has been the focus of, and this will be particularly the focus of this administration, is that there are two elements. One is quality and the other one is efficiency. If we compromise on that, then we're not going to improve on the quality of education. And the indications are quite clear that we are making steady improvements. Let me just give you an example. We recognize, and I think the minister must be really complimented on that, because she's very forthright and honest about it. We recognize the difficulties with regard to literacy and numeracy. What have we done about it? We said, no, we've got to focus on foundations for learning. So early child development becomes critical. Every child in this country, in every public school, receives a resource pack, free of charge, to enhance literacy and numeracy. Every child from grade R to grade 9, in all quintiles, receives a book on literacy and numeracy, free of charge. So in other words, more than 50 million books are delivered to enhance literacy and numeracy. Now that goes to the heart of quality. Because if you take away those two elements, which are the foundations for learning, you're going to have difficulties. And we've discovered that if we do not emphasize and focus on those elements, learners have difficulty with regard to quality. Now, the interventions, basically, what is the evidence? The evidence is, if you look at your NR results, you would find that our children are doing above average in foundation phases and in the primary school. Go down to the high school, and you have the challenge over there. There's one because of the neglect that occurs at that phase 7, grade 7, 8, and 9. And they have the better equipped educators teaching grades 10, 11, and 12, and we've got to turn that around. But the second is the foundations for learning. The initiatives were started about 7 or 8 years ago. So the beneficiaries of those programs are still in primary school, are entering high school. And transformation doesn't occur within a year. It's a systemic thing that's going to take perhaps a decade. But the indications are that indeed we are in the trajectory is correct. And NR is an unusual phenomenon. Our country examines more than 7 million learners each year in terms of their literacy and numeracy skills. No other country in the world does that. So we could tell you school by school, district by district, province by province, how each learner is comparing on the basis of internationally benchmarked tests. And I think those are credible initiatives which gives us a good indicator as to where the deficits are and what we should do better. We certainly haven't perfected it, but we are certainly moving away from mediocrity and working towards excellence.
All right, okay, we're going to go to Ayanda just now, but just before that, I nearly forgot. One of the issues that was raised were the timing of the exams, and I think he spoke about economics. And also it was mentioned yesterday by Mr. Padiachi, business studies and economics, maths and maths lit. There's something about, what are they called, the terrible twins subjects?
Not quite. I think the speaker was quite right, but as the ones being examined, we don't set our papers, we don't moderate our papers. It's an external process where our papers are set up by independent people. That's why I think I agree with the Deputy Minister. You can't question what, and not in an arrogant way. We use independent, credible, prominent South Africans to assess our system. So when we say it's quality, we're honest about it because it's not us assessing ourselves. So same with the exam papers, are set externally, moderated externally, and it's quite correct because we also, unfortunately, as the one being examined, were quite uncomfortable with the time for the business economics paper. And it explains why most of the learners did not perform well because the time was too short. We've combined paper 1 and 2, they were given less time than what we expected them to have done. And we raised that with Umalusi. Same with Maths Lit. The cognitive, we're not saying it should be a walkover paper, but you just think the cognitive demands were just a bit too high. And the questions were just a bit difficult even to interpret, and that we'll also take up with Umalusi. And it's not only those papers, but we had said to them, raise the bar, get our kids to think critically, analytically, don't give them recall questions only. And this is what I think we got as a reward. But we'll still engage with them because he's quite correct, especially with the business economics paper. The time was too short.
And essentially,
and learners didn't finish.
So what we're saying is that the kids that got through 2014 actually did really well, given the demands that were made on them.
There were challenges, as I say. He's correct with the question papers, some of the questions. I mean, some questions in English were just, it's just too difficult to interpret at that level. But that's why we say they are a special class, and I've requested MECs to give those that have to sit for supplementary exams special assistance because they already went through a very difficult exam, though we had prepared them for the past 3 years because we had been preparing them for the past 3 years for CABS. But it's quite clear that it was steeper.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I did matric years and years ago. Let's go to East London now. Abongile is there just to get another sense of what's happening in her part of the world. Abongile?
Well, good morning to you, Pete Tandoro. We are live in East London. As you have said, we're expecting the MEC for Education here in the province, Mandla Makupula, to declare the province's results for 2013. Unfortunately, in accordance to Minister Angie Motshekga's report last night, Eastern Cape is sitting at the very bottom at 65.9%. A slight improvement, though, from last year's 64.9%. Actually, at the same time, below the average or the target that the MEC has set for himself for the province of 70% pass rate in the province. Well, the province has not been without any challenges, Peter. As you know, that it's a province that is rural-based with lack or no proper infrastructure to help the teachers on the ground, grassroots level, to be able to achieve, the acquired or the requested pass rate. But to help us unpack some of the challenges that the province has been faced with, I'm joined from the Department of Education by Dr. Soyisile Nuku, who's going to help us unpack some of the challenges. Mr. Sinubu, of course, thanks so much for your time this morning and welcome to the program. Basically, you have set yourself for a 70% increase, or rather pass rate on our metric results for this year. Obviously, didn't achieve that. What are some of the reasons behind that?
Thanks. As you correctly put it, we had a target of 70%, but unfortunately we could not achieve it. But be that as it may, perhaps let me first of all apologize for the MEC who could not make it, and also the SG. They attended, a meeting yesterday, or the announcement of results by the minister. So they are still struggling to get flights back to East London. But coming to a question, it is very clear that, the province of the Eastern Cape is still faced with a lot of challenges, which really impede effective teaching and learning. As you correctly put it, for an example, we are still struggling here with the issue of the infrastructure, as well as other challenges, teacher provisioning, as well as the quality of teachers that we have in our schools. Remember, Mr. Saz, our province is so rural, and therefore it does not attract, qualified and quality teachers. So coming to the infrastructure, for an example, we're still struggling with some schools which are mud structures, but we need to also indicate that both the Provincial Department of Education and Basic Education are working very tirelessly to eradicate those mud structures, which still is a tall order to us. So basically, those are two major challenges that we are faced with in the Eastern Cape. Now, the issue of teacher shortage, as well as the issue of the infrastructure. So as I must quickly indicate to you that as the province of the Eastern Cape, we really appreciate our improvement, because from the challenges that we have, one would be pessimistic that Eastern Cape can improve. But the tireless effort from both the MEC up to the teacher at school, they have made it. So all in all, Mr. Saz, despite all the challenges that we have taken an approach, as the Eastern Cape, that we are now in 2015 taking all these challenges and turn them into opportunities, because we know our challenges. The only thing, therefore, is that we need to take them, as opportunities for us to improve.
Any plans in place to change those challenges into opportunities that you can outline for us quickly?
For sure. Before the close of last year, or the end of last year, as the province, we had a big session where we were planning for 2015. Now, one of our plans, which is very concrete, is the improved learner attainment improvement strategy in the province, which is quickly saying that we are now upscaling our support to schools in terms of teacher development, because, as I have indicated, we have a number of teachers who are not of good quality. And therefore, it is our responsibility as the department to make sure that we train and skill those teachers. That is one niche area that we are focusing on. Secondly, in all our districts. Now, the focus in 2015 is that of supporting very strongly schools. Number 3, where there are no teachers, we have taken a decision as the province to say we will not allow that to happen, given, the minimum resources that we have, but we will not allow learners to be without teachers. Whether it means for us that we literally move these learners from this school to another, but the bottom line is that we will not allow any learners to be without teachers in 2015.
Have you set a target for this year already? That you set yourself 70% for the past matric results for this year already?
Not yet, Mr. Zaz. You see, the Honorable MEC, therefore, because he's our political principal, he is going to really set this target with us. And we are determined in 2015 that really we are going to change, the situation, to improve from where we are, at least to where we are supposed to be.
Late last night, we've been trying to get a hold of officials from the education department to actually address or rather tell us their view with regards to the cheating accusations and reports that are moving in and out of the media. Are you in a position to tell us what the stand now in as far as that is concerned?
Briefly, as I can say, as the Eastern Cape Department of Education, we condemn that. Because even the suspected cheating to us means that, there is something which is being suspected. But at the moment, we are not in a position to say anything because we are working on those irregularities as the department. So after the 9th of January, we'll be able to say clinically what we have done as the department about that. Well said. So it's Snoka from the Education Department. Thanks so much for your time, sir. Well, Peter Ndoro, there you have it. We are expecting now that the MEC for Education here in the Eastern Cape, Mandla Makupula, to declare the matric results for the Eastern Cape province in 30 minutes from now. For now, let's take you back to studio in Sandton.
Bongile, thank you very much indeed. And so just getting a sense of what's happening in the provinces across the country. We're going to cross the Ayanda just now, but I want to warn the acting DG, Paddy Variachi, I'm going to come to him shortly, because he gave a technical briefing yesterday, and I just want to get a sense, in broad strokes, just to give us a little bit more detail on what those results mean and what we've learned from that. And we'll be getting a sense from him just now. But first, let's go to Ayanda, who's got somebody else that she's talking to.
I do indeed. Thank you so much, Peter. And I'll be chatting to my next guest in just a moment. But throughout the correspondence and interaction today, it occurred to me, my dear friend, that I did not congratulate you for all the hard work and dedication that your daughter put in last year. She's one of the matriculants in 2014. And I know how much parents love to take the credit and shine for all the hard work and effort that their children put in. But jokes aside, on a serious note, that support from the loved ones and the family is absolutely crucial and can be a make or break. Now, you have something in common with my next guest in that he also has a loved one who was writing exams in 2014 at the end of last year. And this is Yusuf Abramji from Leader Say. He has a niece, I believe it is. Yusuf, I'm going to ask you to come and join us and talk to us about all the hard work that you also put in here. Did you give her marshmallows? I loved marshmallows when I was writing exams. It's what I used to feast on. But Yusuf, you put out a tweet this morning congratulating your niece, but you also put out a tweet that was sympathizing with those who didn't make it. Just share your thoughts with us this morning.
Well, good morning, Ayanda. Well, my niece, Kabila, obviously Abramji, you know where the brains are, Peter. She obtained 7 distinctions, the head girl at Ishwane Muslim School in Laudium. But I think it's only appropriate that we officially congratulate the class of 2014. And Gauteng, my dear friend Panyaza Lasufi, the MEC, who, by the way, I hope becomes premier one of the days, needs to be congratulated for the distinction that he has obtained. And being a loyal Gautenger, I think the other provinces are going to have it tough catching up to Panyaza in 2015. But more importantly, Ayanda, I think it's important that we only congratulate all the successful candidates of the class of 2014, the Department of Basic Education, the Minister, the Deputy Minister, the officials, but importantly to those students who didn't make it, do not give up hope. Our message is very clear. There is always a second chance. And we all need to work together to improve the education system in South Africa. It's not only the responsibility of the Department of Education, civil society must get involved. And we believe it's critical for all of us to join hands and to really take education to the next level. And I agree with Maxine Williams, the editor of The New Age, when he says, Our critics, I think, were hard. The results, the overall results were concerning, but let's celebrate our success. And I think that we also need to tackle in 2015 the side attractions which are disturbing the performance at our schools, namely the drug problem, Panyaza, which we are doing together with Crimeline and Lead South Africa. We need to tackle the social ills, and we'll be going more into schools with the department under the Bill of Responsibilities to promote a culture of learning. 3 priorities, lastly, education, education, education.
Thank you very much. Goodness, and the minister also alluded to the fact that education is a societal issue. She went at great lengths yesterday to point that out, and that it's not just a matter of government officials, but you and I have a role to play. So Peter, it's back to you and the minister as well as the deputy.
Great, thank you very much. And perhaps you could just expand on that when you talk about it being a societal issue.
No, it is. Parents have a major role to support their learners, show interest, to really guide them when they go wrong. The children, they're not bringing themselves up, we're bringing them up to really have a firm hand in guiding them. But also as communities, last year was quite disappointing. I mean, we had the Kuruman, of the Natal, where communities keep our children as hostages. And Bramji is quite right also, in terms of also lots of distractions which affect teachers' time, drugs, youth criminality, unwanted pregnancy, poor discipline, and lack of proper parental support. Because if kids are milling in the streets at 8:30, it's not the teacher's responsibility to make sure that those kids are in class. It's parents and communities opening shebeens in front of schools, just lots of distractions, unfortunately for young, growing people. It's our responsibility to protect them, to do what we can, so that teachers can focus on teaching and learning. So it is quite critical that even communities themselves, and just the posting one around my constituents in Midrand, in Ivory Park, that committee is highly mobilized around education. I've not seen the results, but I can guess that there won't be a school in Ivory Park which performs at less than 80%. They have a very strong education a QLTC committee which looks at drugs, looks at schools. It reports to me teachers who sometimes don't conduct themselves well. On Monday, they would have started, there used to be a place called Motshekga place. They came to report to say, your teachers on Monday leave school quite early, so let's deal with it. And that's what you want to do, that committees must support us also in areas where there must be the eyes and ears, because these are their kids, these are their children, and contribute in kind also to supporting schools. And we have evidence that in communities where committees are mobilized and parents are encouraged to support schools, schools thrive and perform better.
All right. SADTU came up with a statement the other day, Deputy Minister, I'm put this to you, and they said that we are getting overexcited on grade 12s and that not enough attention is being paid to the other grades. What's your response to that?
Well, it's education is a continuum. It starts from preschool and goes beyond that. So we cannot disagree with the statement that you can't look at only grade 12. It's the entire system, and as learners progress from grade to grade. That is the culmination of his schooling, grade 12, so it has an important benchmark in the life of a learner. And certainly what we have done is really pay particular attention to foundation phase learning, to early childhood development, to the primary school itself, in terms of support externally, even from the district and the circuits, in terms of subject advisors that was raised earlier. We've defined the roles and responsibilities and given an adequate description of what the expectations would be. So that is indeed happening. And I agree with SADTU that you can't look at it in a fragmented way. You've got to look at it holistically. The minister had raised very legitimately and correctly that there is a huge gap in the high school, grade 7, 8, and 9. What have we done about it? We've basically made sure that we've developed resources which have been digitized through the Cecil Inzalo Foundation, where we have for mathematics, science, technology, books that are available for all our learners. Beautiful, colorful, well-developed books to ensure that those resources are there. We've established training centers, not only for our high school educators, but also for our primary school learners. We have 60 fully functional, connected teacher development centers across the country. 133 have been identified, and it is our hope that by March next year we would have 133 fully functional teacher resource centers where teachers have immediate access to a resource which connects them, and we can create a community of professional educators. So these are positive steps that have to take place, but it cannot occur on its own. There has to be collaboration, and I must say that the unions have worked extremely well with the Department of Education, and the celebration of these results are indeed a celebration of the fact that educators in general have put a lot of effort in ensuring that, notwithstanding the challenges and the huge disparities in terms of resources, teachers have done a great deal to ensure that our learners perform adequately.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break just now, but before that I'd like to go to Acting DG Paddy Padiachi, because yesterday he gave a technical briefing, and I just want to get another sense of what these results mean, and perhaps fill in the blanks of some of the things that we haven't said so far. So table number, where are you? Table number, there we go.
Thank you, Peter. I think what you're asking is a longer task. I think you've got most of the blanks. Yeah. There's lots of numbers, and we should be looking beyond the numbers going forward. I think behind the numbers is a lot of, is a good story. Even in the subjects that have gone down, you would find that even on the mathematics, we had distinctions that would have been more if we did not get a downward adjustment. And you'd find that in some of the other subjects, like Maths Lit, as well as in the, I think it's the business studies, you had more distinctions than previous years. So while you may look at one side of the coin, the other side looks much better when you shine it. So, and I think we've not really, we need to go more into the district performance. And I think in the next few days, when we unpack that, you'd find that even there in the distinctions and so forth, you'll find that there's some very rural districts that would have done better. And as the Minister mentioned last night, Craddock district in the Eastern Cape achieving above 80%, a major achievement. But that tells the others that it's not impossible to achieve those. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Acting DG Paddy Padiachi. We're going to take a quick break. After that, more of your questions on Twitter and also here in the audience. Deshan Desal has got a question, and we'll come to them just after this.
Guinea is reopening an Ebola clinic in its remote southeast in an effort to prevent sick nationals seeking better treatment elsewhere.
The new labor law also seeks to clamp down on violent strikes by holding a trade union liable for violence committed by its members during a strike.
The new canal is set to boost annual revenues to about $13 billion by 2023. It's part of a larger project to expand port and shipping facilities around the canal.
This is Vijigas's fourth victory on the PGA Tour.
That's all the weather that I have for you for now. Stay tuned.
For all your business news, catch news at 1 every day. Be informed.
Right, welcome back. We're starting to get to the last sort of 20 minutes of this discussion. I promise to get to your tweets and also the audience here. And let's go straight to table 21 where we'll find Deshan, is it Desal? Table 25. Where's Deshan? Where are you? Just stand up and we'll get a microphone to you. All right. Okay. Well, she's somewhere there, but I wanted this question answered actually, really, because it's been coming up quite a bit. And this thing of passing or getting the students who perhaps haven't passed a grade, putting them through to the next grade. Is this not putting them at a disadvantage? And I guess there's pros and cons on any decision that you make. What did you have to look at, and why in the end did you say, let's move them through?
Our system, Dora, it's very inefficient. We're failing annually almost 1 million kids. And it's high. Internationally, the failure rate is 1%. In SADC, it's 5%. In our country, it's 10%. Meaning that when we have educational challenges, we resort to failing them instead of giving them additional support. And that's why we're saying we have to really stop using failing learners as a remedy to educational challenges. So when learners, if there's no major problems, no disabilities, not anything, they must be given additional support rather than failing them, because it tends to discourage them. And there has been a trend in our schools where kids are just taken through, they pass very well. Suddenly when they get to grade 10 and 11, almost 25% are made to repeat repeatedly, and it discourages them that they drop out of school. So it's much more dangerous to have them dropping out of school instead of giving them additional support and assisting them to progress through the system. And we've tried it this year. It probably also contributed to our slight decline, but some of them have passed. So it's really around protecting our children from being discouraged by getting them to fail, getting schools to give them additional support, and getting them to also know that we've condoned you to pass, therefore you have to work double hard to pass. So it has its own disadvantages that you really have learners who are not very ready for the next phase, but we are saying with additional support, they survive, and they've survived also the class of 2014. And we think it's healthy. It's quite abnormal the way we fail our learners in schools in order to get perfect pass marks at the end of grade 12. So we really are discouraging this question of culling kids at grade 10 and 11.
The class of 2014, unique because of this new curriculum, and those that perhaps didn't make it through, you've got a special arrangement for them in place that they're able to go back to school full time if they're able to. Is that just going to be for the class of 2014?
It's only 2014 because we really, 12 years with us, I always say with these kids, 12 years with us is just too long for us to stay with you further. After 12 years, you must be ready to leave. But we're saying there are special circumstances for grade 12, for the class of 2014. We want provinces to, from tomorrow, support supplementary exam learners, help them to really identify what the problems were, which made them to fail those two subjects. It's 135,000 of them, so they must support them. And those that have failed, we're appealing to provinces, let them give them the second chance, only for this year.
All right, okay, table 11, is this Smads Matsipe?
It's my former student.
No, it's in the light of the reports that Mets and Mets results were poorer this year. I was just asking what measures are taken to recruit and retain Mets and science teachers.
Okay, if we could go also to table 8, we'll find Carnegie Stamper. I know you've got a number of questions here, so pick your most important. Carnegie Stamper, table number 8. Are you there? Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Honorable Minister. I was just asking because in 2003 there was about 1.2 million learners that started grade 1. By 2013 there was only about over 650,000 that made it to matric. I would just like to find out what happened to the rest because it's critical that we find means and mechanisms to bridge the two gaps. Thank you.
All right, okay. That's a great question and one that I ask you every year, actually. So let's start with the other one. How do we get more maths and science teachers? How are we attracting them?
We fortunately have partners like Teach South Africa. which always goes to universities to recruit learners who are, and some people who had not even planned to have teaching as their career, to just come for 2 or 3 years. And some of these young people are engineers who just feel that they can give off their time, 3 years of their time, to help us with maths and science. So we have that program. We also, through our bursary schemes, just give more preference to young learners who want to take teaching and specialize in maths and science. We recruit internationally. We have a number of Zimbabwean teachers in the country who are helping us. So we use different methods that will help us, but still, we still run short of maths and science teachers. Sometimes even teachers who have resigned, we recruit them back as even retired teachers to make sure that we can fill the gap. But the fact of the matter, we're still running short of maths teachers. And that's why they say we're intensifying and increasing our program with Teach South Africa, which is one of the key NGOs that helps us with maths and science.
The other question is the dropout rate. So whilst we celebrate 75.8% pass rate, that's based on the 686,000 people that wrote. But if we actually calculate the number of people who started grade 1, and let's say it's 1 million plus, that means the pass rate's gone down to about 50% really, because a lot of the people didn't even get to write at the end of the day. Where are they? What's happened to them? And how do we include this figure more so that they don't just disappear?
Yeah, and that's why this progression regulations, it's meant to cap some of the problems that discourage our students and make them drop out. But life is not one, because where are the 18-year-olds? Are they all still alive? I don't know. Some are in prison, some have unwanted pregnancies, some are in FET colleges. So it's human beings, they go different directions as they grow up. They won't go on the same line together. Some drop in and out of the system. As I say, go to prisons, it's young people. Go to street corners with drugs, it's young people.
Half of the grade 1s that...
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's us as a society, it's how far we protect our children. I'm saying some of the problems, yes, indeed, are educational, and that's why we're giving in policies to say, let's not discourage them by failing them too much because it throws them out of schools. We don't send kids out in the streets, we don't take them to prisons. It's us as communities which land our kids in prisons, which land them into street corners with drugs. It's us who don't protect them adequately to have unwanted babies. And it's all those things, a mix. And that's why we're saying, let's all work together as a society, because to protect them and have that 1 million in 18 years becoming the same 1 million, it takes more than the schooling system. It takes the nation. It takes a whole village to protect this million, to end up 1 million. As I said, they're in prison, some of them. They're in street corners. They have unwanted babies. Some are in FET colleges. Some branch off. Also, it's not every child who follows an academic stream. Some of them branch off to FET colleges. But all the same, the dropout rate in our system is still unacceptable. And that's why the policies that we're bringing in place, the ramping up of the system to get every phase, every grade counting, it's very important for us to protect the learners. But I'm saying it's a village responsibility because it's all of us who are bringing them up. So it's not only the schooling that sends them off, but it's all of us as society which fails them.
All right, let's go back to our floor. Ayanda's got somebody that she's found. Ayanda?
I have indeed. Thank you so much, Peter. Well, as the Minister has just spoken about now, a number of matriculants will be taking different paths from here on in. So of the 75.8% that have passed, they'll be venturing in different avenues. And unfortunately, Minister, you're going to have to say goodbye to a few of your babies, as some of them will become the responsibility of your colleague, Higher Education and Training Minister, Dr. Bladen Zimande. The question now is, will the system be able to accommodate them, especially those who are in requirement of financial assistance? We know NASFAS has had some tumultuous times in the past year. There have been allegations of fraud. There have been allegations of the protests rising from people not receiving their money. So will the class of 2014, those who are in requirement of financial aid, will they be able to get the assistance that is required? Let's find out from the Senior Manager in Communications for NASFAS, Mr. Kagisho Mamabolo. I'm going to ask you to stand for me, sir, as you answer one or two of the questions. You see, those who are gathered today, I mean, we spoke to a remarkable young man earlier. You may not have heard it because it was outside in Hlaganipani, and he received 5 distinctions from a school in a township in Soweto, in Midlands Zone 10, and he's now in need of financial assistance, no bursary as yet. Will you be able to accommodate the likes of Hlaganipani?
Well, thank you very much. Let me start by congratulating the class of 2014 and also congratulate the Minister and Deputy Minister, as well as to thank the invitation from the Ministry. Well, for 2014-2015, we have received 9.9 billion budget, which was not enough to accommodate everyone. So, and we have made requests to the Minister of Higher Education and Training, Dr. Blade Mzimande, to actually increase the budget, and we anticipate that would get about 9.5 billion, which again will never be enough. But what we do is that we work with universities and communities through NGOs to identify financially needy learners who would be put through a means test, which is a method that assists us to identify your background and whether you would be deserving or not.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you so very much again for your time. Just wanted to catch a glimpse of whether or not some of those who are gathered today who are in need of financial assistance will be able to get it. We do want them to go through education systems. We know that some of them will be going to your FET colleges and some will be going straight to work. They've received apprenticeships. They've received various other means of furthering themselves as individuals. It is sort of a rite of passage, isn't it, matric? I'm not going to tell you when it was that I did my matric either, Peter, because that's a secret for me. I don't want to give away my age, but it's back to you, Peter.
All right, Ayanda, thank you very much indeed. A tweet from Kolile who says, please ask Minister, what is the plan regarding temporary teachers? Some have been temporary for 5 years. Is that true?
Yeah. No, there are different reasons why teachers are temporary. Some of our teachers take their packages, take their pensions, leave the system. When they come back, they can't be permanent because they have resigned. So they become temporary until such time that we're able to recruit a new young teacher and make them permanent. So they will remain temporary because of that. Some remain, especially in provinces like Eastern Cape where there's double packing. And because they have not efficiently dealt with the placement of their teachers, you find that there are 2 teachers or 2 people in the post which is supposed to be 1. So whilst the province is struggling to resolve the permanent appointment, the other one can't be declared permanent by law because there is double packing. And the province is dealing with it. So there are different reasons why provinces, but in some instances inefficiency, and we've been encouraging provinces to say, if there is no issue, appoint people permanently. So the stability, the security, and teachers know what's going to happen. But so it depends what may do temporary.
Okay. Deputy Minister, one issue that also comes up is that we're celebrating the kids that have passed and congratulations to them. Some are going to go to university, they've got the bachelor's passes, but there seems to be a gap or a disparity with those that can cope with the first year. And I'm just wondering, what is it? Is there a serious gap in the quality or something in the matrics that are coming through? They all pass, but somehow they're not making it in their first year at university. What are we doing to address that?
Well, there is a conversation that has taken place, continues to take place between the Department of Basic Education and Higher Education and Training, and the synergy is extremely good. And it's really an appeal that has been made previously, and the universities have indeed responded to provide for interim support to those learners who have disadvantages. So children who have difficulties or challenges in mathematics and science would be able to get additional support through the university by getting extra lessons, and that's important and critical. We have to recognize the barriers of language as well as an important phenomenon that universities have to address too. They can't merely say, and in fact this has been the paradigm shift, that it's a responsibility of school. They should understand the disproportionate disproportionate development, the enormous challenges that learners face, and the disadvantaged backgrounds that they come from. And therefore, they have a particular responsibility as autonomous institutions to do better. But I must say that indeed the universities are working extremely hard at this, and students are taking up the opportunity to improve the opportunity.
I guess
to
the
do
question
better.
I'm asking you is, are you doing enough to prepare them for university?
Well, that's why we've increased the cognitive demand. That's why it's more responsive to the needs of universities. So the curriculum content itself is not has not been developed in a vacuum. Academics are there. The issues of mathematics and mathematical literacy really emanates from these academics at institutions of higher learning, and its content itself is shaped in a large way by the academics themselves. So what you see and what you have in the curriculum content itself is really what emerges or what is advised by the universities. But in the past, there has been a distance between schools and universities. I think that gap has been narrowed. Academics are taking far greater interest in what happens in our schools, because those learners would indeed become students at the universities, and the better grounded they are, the better they would perform at universities.
All right, we've got literally a minute and a bit to go, but I do want to hear from Thabo Sepuma, table 15. It's not a question really, but something that you're doing, and I'm hoping this will encourage other people to take part. So if you've literally got 20 seconds to tell us what you're going to do.
Good morning, Minister and Deputy Minister, and congratulations to matriculants for 2014. Minister, I'm responding to your call next week in Limpopo. As part of my contribution, coming from that rural community, we'll be donating a computer lab to one of the regions that did very well this year in the Bembe district in Matabani village. And this is, to me, I'm calling to all corporate, to all individuals who come from various communities, either to contribute financially or their time. And I'm thankful for my own company that also contributed, which is Neotel, when I hit that call to say we need to plow back to our community. Education is a societal issue, and as a society, we are the vanguard of our education. And if we don't do that, we can't only rely on the minister and the deputy minister and the officials, but we are all we all can play part.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. But essentially, that's what.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. In 15 seconds, your final thoughts on the class of 2014 and the way forward.
We're really appreciative and very grateful to the class of 2014, but also to lots of these NGOs and some of the professionals that are here for the support, the counsel, and the guidance that they constantly give us to us as the department. I see the portfolio committee that gives us the run for money, and I'm really grateful for their support and appreciative of them really making sure that we pay attention. But it's ready to say to South Africans, all of them, thank you very much for the support, because without it, it will be even more difficult to make the necessary changes. And to the class of 2014, we love you, all of the best.
Thank you very much indeed. And our thanks, ladies and gentlemen, to Minister Angie Motshekga, Deputy Minister Enver Surty, Department of Basic Education. Thank you very much indeed for, as a parent, getting our kids through the system. We're very grateful. But thank you very much indeed, and we wish you the best of luck with the class of 2015 going forward. And that's where we're going to have to leave it. Thank you all very much at home for being part of this conversation. And as you heard Minister say, it's a societal thing. Everybody must do their bit. Just find a way that you can contribute, and let's make a difference. Our kids need your help, and they will pay us back by changing our country. All right, everybody, have a great day, and we'll see you at the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.